Hey guys, and welcome to the Money Podcast. This week, we're talking about getting what you want while doing what you need to do. Like you need to build an emergency fund, but you also want to go to Burning Man. You need to save for retirement, but you also want a Corvette. You need to buy a house, but you also want to go on a cruise. At first glance, it seems like you can either do what you should do, or you can do what you want to do. But how can you do both? Seems like there's not enough time or money. Or is there? Today we're going to talk about how you can tackle multiple financial goals and still not miss out on having a little bit of fun. I'm Stacy Johnson, as usual. My co-host will be financial journalist Miranda Marquit. Hello, Miranda.
Hello, Stacy.
Listening in and sometimes contributing is our producer, Aaron Freeman. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, I'm one of those people.
Yeah, who isn't?
Trying to do it all.
And our special guest this week, who's going to solve all of our problems, is Chris Hutchins from All the Hacks. That's a podcast about upgrading your life, your money, and travel. Hey, Chris, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Just by the tone of my voice makes me excited. Does it sound fake? It is. No, it's not really. I'm really excited. Okay, before we get going, remember, should we discuss specific investments in this podcast, they are not recommendations. Before you invest in anything, do your own research, make your own decisions. And I've got to do a quick shout out, guys, before we start. I met a guy at a party last week, a party for 4-year-olds, by the way. It's a 4-year-old's birthday party. A guy named Steve. He's listened to every podcast we've ever done, walked up to me and said, I can't believe I'm meeting you here, blah, blah, blah. Steve, you made a friend for life, and you also get a free Money Talks News t-shirt. As soon as I figure out how to get it to you, I'm going to send it to you. And same thing.
Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. He, by the way, he also knew Miranda and Aaron's name too. So we actually have a fan out there, and it's not even a relative. I'm very happy. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in now. Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you become the money and lifestyle guru that you are today?
Gosh, I don't even know how far back to go. I keep asking my parents, like, can you help me figure out this origin story? Because I don't know where it is. But I was just always a kid who wanted to figure it out and didn't want to sacrifice. I remember some few distinct moments in my life where I ended up going to boarding school, but I wasn't one of the kids whose parents gave them like a credit card with all the money. And I wanted pizza. And, you know, every other kid was ordering pizza at night, but I didn't have the money to order pizza. So finally I started ordering pizza and selling the slices so that I could sell 6 slices and keep 2 and eat them. And I wouldn't make a profit, but I would definitely eat pizza for free. And I was like, oh, if you just find a way to tweak around this system, you can get what you want without having to spend the money. And there's probably always an answer. And then that just kind of became a mantra that I've kind of lived on and embodied for the rest of my life.
No, I read one time, you ever read, no, you wouldn't have, you're too young, Steal This Book by Abby Hoffman? I told you how to steal
I have
everything.
seen this book. I don't think I've read it.
It's actually a collector's item. I have a copy of it. It's worth a lot of money now. Anyway, they would say, he said, like, call for a pizza for your neighbor across the street. And then while they're delivering it to the door, you run to the car and get any of the other pizzas they have in there, because they usually take more than one at a time, and steal them. Now, we're not recommending you do that, folks who are listening to this podcast. I just thought I'd pass that along. I like your idea better. Okay, so anyway, let's get serious. What we want to do is we want to accomplish our financial goals, but we also don't want our life to suck. We want to be able to do what we want to do. Help me out here. What do I do? Because this is probably true for a lot of people. You know, you make a decision. You say, should I do? Maybe I shouldn't buy this, or maybe I shouldn't go there. I should be saving for my down payment or whatever. How do we do this?
You got to ask yourself, like, what's the purpose of all this money? Do we want to live and one day just be Scrooge McDuck and have this money? And, you know, I've been a big fan of Bill Perkins wrote this book, Die With Zero. It's like, you know, the goal is actually to use your life to enjoy your life, use your money to enjoy your life. So I'm not all for spending all of your money and not saving. It's just, there's got to be some balance. And so I think there's kind of 2 overriding philosophies. One is, you know, I think a lot of people underestimate their earning potential and think they have to save everything. And so I think spending money as you make money is not, you know, a horrible thing to do. Obviously, if you have really high interest debt, you really should prioritize that first, because it's going to cost you a lot more. But I think using some of your money to enjoy your life while you're able to do that is a valuable thing. I also think there are a lot of ways that you can get an experience that often at first glance is very expensive for a lot less. So if your goal is to travel the world and, you know, that's expensive, what if you pick up travel hacking and learn how to use points and miles to do it for free? Or if, you know, you think it'd be awesome to have, you know, a chef come to your house every night and cook you dinner, well, what if you actually just hire someone locally to cook dinner, you know, in batch and drop it off in, you know, glass Tupperware and put it in your fridge, which is, you know, a tiny fraction of the cost of having a private chef. There are ways to have that experience of what you like for a lot less money. And I think that's been my goal, is to not just spend my money, but spend it in a way that I can, multiply, like a force multiplier on the experience I have in life.
Okay, so we have done this topic a lot on this podcast, and some listeners have listened to this thing, listened to a lot of shows, probably heard these things. So I want to hear some new things that I've never heard of before. Like you just mentioned, like a chef that you can have, bring over some Tupperware. That's new. I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, that all started with the fact that we had a child, and it turns out when you have kids, you lose time. And, I was thinking, gosh, how can we buy back our time? Because I think a good use of money is to buy back time. So one idea was, let's take anything my wife and I argue about and let's spend money on it, because, chances are that thing might often be something that you could buy out. So we found that we had someone come to clean our house. We don't argue about who's going to clean. That was a great way to use money to both make our marriage better and then save us time. But the food thing was interesting because we both worked and we both needed to get off work in time to cook dinner for the family, because now we started eating at 6:00, which was like an hour and a half before we used to eat. And I thought, gosh, there has to be some way to make this better, but ordering food was expensive and less healthy. So I put an ad out on Craigslist and I just said, hey, I'm looking for someone who can make meals and drop them off. And I would love to have this service. And so I got 10 people that replied. And for less than the cost of delivery food, I would say like halfway between the cost of just groceries and having, food delivered from a restaurant, we found someone that would drop off food twice a week for 2 nights each and bring enough food that there was leftovers for lunch. And so we got a variety of food. It was healthy. It was cooked, in a home instead of, in a commercial kitchen. And it was great. And we didn't have to cook it.
That's pretty cool.
This is very cool. This is such a good hack.
So it freed up time, and that's really cool. How did you vet the Craigslist cook?
Yeah, so I got lucky. I don't know how this is possible. So I had like 5 people that kind of seemed reliable. They said, I have some references. You can call people that I've worked for before. But one of them, and they were all about the same cost. And one of them was like, here's my resume. And I was looking at it, I was like, this person used to work at a Michelin star restaurant in Paris and like was a chef and now just likes doing this. And I was like, look, who am I to say what you should do with your time? But if you want to take your Michelin trained chef skills and bring them to my kitchen, I'm happy for that. So we ended up hiring, a Michelin starred chef
where
to
do you
drop
live?
food off.
Where do you
in the
live,
Bay Area.
Chris?
In the Bay Area.
I was hoping you lived in my neighborhood, but you don't, because I was going to call this guy too.
Well, I was just going to say, we have like where I live in, little town, Idaho Falls, Idaho, we actually have a similar service that's here. It's called Prepped, and I have actually used them before. And same kind of thing where it's like, it's a small operation. They do it out of, it's healthy food. It's delivered. You figure out your, menu ahead of time, and then they drop it off, and it's, you just reheat it. It's great. And I agree too. Like the house cleaning is like hiring a house cleaner is like the biggest game changer in the world. Like I've had one for 6 years.
I do my own house cleaning.
No. Biggest game changer.
My philosophy is whatever the things you don't like doing are worth, spending money to outsource. If you enjoy cleaning, if you enjoy lawn work, for some reason I get a lot of satisfaction. We have a hot tub of like dialing in the levels on the hot tub and like figuring out the right chemical amount and trying to figure it. Like I enjoy that. So I don't need to hire someone to come do that. But I don't
do
enjoy
housework
cleaning.
because it's how I procrastinate, because I work at home. So I'm either going to have to do something productive that actually pays the bills, or I can go and dust the house or vacuum. And plus, this has an extra benefit too, Chris. I get to lord it over my wife, who works out of the house. So when she comes home, I'm like, what? No, thank you for cleaning up the house. So I win in every respect. I don't have to do my actual job, and I have something on my spouse. So it works out for me. Okay, anyway, we're digressing, because that was an awesome hack. And I've been in this business 30 years. I've never heard that before. Give me another one.
Okay, I've got 2 for you. I got
Go
2
ahead.
that I'm guessing you haven't heard. So 1, anytime you're buying something online on a website that has one of those annoying things that pops up when this person's trying to chat with you and they're like, oh, you're looking for floor mats. You think I can help you find them? And you're like, ugh. So this happened to me. I was looking for floor mats for a new car, and this person pops up and I'm like, no, there's 2 options. I know where they are. But I always engage with the live chat person and say, hey, I found the floor mats I want, but it's just a little expensive. Is there any chance that there's a deal that you guys could, offer? I have about a 50% success rate of getting a promo code, or in the floor mat case, the guy sends a link and my cart that was already, I mean, it was a very sophisticated system. He's like, go check out your cart with this link, refresh, floor mats are now 15% off. So
that's funny. That's funny you brought that up. I did the same thing with
floor mats?
a company called WeatherTech. Yeah, because I wanted these really nice WeatherTechs.
They're expensive too, WeatherTech.
They're expensive. And there's other alternate companies that sell them too. I can't remember the names of them, but they're priced somewhat the same. And I was like, hey, I'd rather have yours on the chat. And the guy says, yeah, sure. I'll give you 15% off. Boom. Gave me a code. Did the same thing.
Yeah. So
I can't
most
believe
people
you
don't
guys
use that
both,
live chat.
Not only did you both bargain online for something, but you were both looking for floor mats for your car. I mean, what are the odds?
Yeah.
But that
like
is an
this guy.
established fact. Consumer Reports did a story many years ago that about half the time when you negotiate for something, you do get it does benefit you. And typically people think that's only in person, but it also does work online in the environment which you just suggested. So that's a really good one.
So that's one. Let's say you're traveling.
What's that?
Let's say you want to go on a trip. This is probably the hack that I've had listeners on my podcast have the most benefit and success from. Book a hotel, and the only thing you need to do two things. You need to book the hotel on the hotel's website, not on Expedia, not on Orbitz, not on TripAdvisor, and just book on the hotel's website. Done. Now, find an email for the hotel. If it's a small hotel, they might have the email listed. If it's a big chain hotel, maybe it's easier to just call up the front desk and say, hey, can I get an email address for the manager or the front desk? Send an email and just says, hey, I just booked this thing. Here's my reservation. Here are my dates. I'm really excited to stay with you. If you're celebrating anything, birthday, anniversary, let them know and say, really excited. Look forward to seeing you. Fire it off. Follow up maybe 3 days before you check in and say, hey, just a reminder, I'm still coming. I'm really excited. See you guys in a few days. I've had hundreds of people check in with upgrades, free breakfast, champagne in the room, initials stitched on pillows, like the number of weird and amazing amenities that people have gotten from that simple email and booking at the hotel website is in the hundreds, and people love it because who doesn't love getting free champagne? I mean, for me, I'd much rather have a bottle of champagne or some food than my initials stitched on the pillows. But, whatever it is, it's free. And hotels do it because they still believe in hospitality. And when you book on a lot of these third-party sites, they don't get an opportunity to build a relationship with you because your relationship is with this other site. And they're willing to reward you for allowing them to build a relationship with you with things if you give them the opportunity to do that.
Let's go around the horn here. I like putting people on the spot. Chris has already given us a couple of good hacks. Miranda, do you have a favorite hack, travel or any other kind? Do you have one thing? If someone said to you, what's the simplest way you can save some money? Do you have something immediately leaps to mind?
Yeah, so I like to stack. So I like to stack savings. This is probably something we've talked about a little bit, but like I like stacking savings. I as Chris says, if you're gonna do a hotel, you're not going to be able to go through Orbitz and get your hotel loyalty points. But what you can do is use something like Swagbucks or something like that, where you go to the hotel's website through Swagbucks and they will give you a reward on top of whatever loyalty you're earning from the hotel. And then I pay for the hotel with my, rewards credit card and pick the rewards credit card that gives me extra points or rewards on travel purchases. And so then that kind of stacks it. When I'm doing airlines though, I really do love going through, something like Swagbucks to go to Orbitz, to go to the airline, to get the airfare, because the airline loyalty points do come from, if you do a third-party site like Orbitz, you still get those airline loyalty points. And so I will go to Swagbucks, go to Orbitz, get my flight, pay for it with my rewards card, and now and then I'm still getting my airline loyalty miles. And so I've done 4 things with like the one purchase, and I've stacked that. And so I like stacking. So that's what
cool.
I like to do is you make one purchase and then you stack it. Then Chris is going to tell me how to make it even better.
Yeah, no, I have a couple extra stacks for people that love this because I'm a huge fan. So we were we just renovated a bathroom and we were buying a toilet that was, I splurge. I love Japanese toilets with all the fancy features. So we wanted one and found it at Lowe's. And I was like, how do I make this the cheapest possible? So I did what Miranda did. I like going to Cashback Monitor and see like what site gives you the most points for clicking on the Lowe's link to buy it. But I took it a little bit further, which might seem crazy, but hear me out. So first off, I went to this website, I think it was like saveindeals.com, where, you know, when you move, you get these coupons for different retailers. Home Depot gives you discounts if you attend their webinars. And sure, you could go through the hassle of all that process, but there are these websites that just sell those same coupons. So I bought a
Welcome Wagon, like that.
Yeah.
They still have that Welcome Wagon.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, I'm dating myself. It used to be when you move into a new house, this thing called Welcome Wagon would come, and sometimes people would deliver it, and it's all these coupons and stuff.
Oh,
those of you who are my age, I'm 67, will know what I'm talking about. These young fools apparently do not, but that's what it was called, Welcome Wagon. Anyway,
so now you get these coupons when you change your address with the Postal Service. They send you a bunch of coupons, and so some websites, and you could search for them all over the internet, sell the coupon. So I paid $2.99 for like a 20% off Lowe's coupon. So now I'm getting 20% off. And then the other hack that I got from a listener, I'd done it in the past where I'll buy the gift card for Lowe's because I don't have a credit card that earns 4 or 5 points per dollar at Lowe's, but I do have a credit card that earns 4 points per dollar at the grocery store. So I used to go to Lowe's go to the grocery store and buy my Lowe's gift cards so that I could stack that way. So I'm buying a coupon to knock the price off 20%. But the cool hack that this listener shared is that Amazon sells Lowe's gift cards, and they sell them in exact dollar amounts. So you can actually go to Amazon and say, I'm about to check out to buy something on Lowe's for $932, and you could go buy $932 of gift cards. Or I think they might cap at $500. So maybe buy a $500 and a $432. And then you can go check out right away. And, you know, I've got an Amazon card that gets 5% off on Amazon. So now I got the 20% off coupon, the 5% on Amazon. I think I got 2% off from going through one of those cashback portals. And it brought the whole total price down almost 25-30%.
Oh, you know what, you guys? I'm so engrossed in this. I totally forgot we had to do an ad in the middle of our show. So now we're going to do a very quick ad. And I have to ask you something really important about Japanese toilets as soon as we're done with this quick break. We're going to be right back after this. Okay, Chris, here's what I have to ask you. We're doing a bathroom remodel, and a master bedroom / bathroom remodel, and I want to get a Japanese toilet. And the price of these things go from $1,500 to $12,000. So you've done a lot of research. You've also taught me how to make save money when I buy this thing. Can you tell me which one you liked?
Yeah. So we ordered a Toto Washlet Plus from Lowe's. I think it was under $1,000, and with all the stacking, it was probably under $800. And it's just a standard Toto Washless Plus. There's a bunch of fancy ones. They can go $5,000-$10,000.
I know. I saw that.
This is the basic.
Wait, now does it have music and LEDs and stuff, Chris? Because I need the whole
music,
package.
No LEDs. But it has all the heated seats, bidet features, deodorizing, all the stuff that you want.
I'm actually going to get in touch with you after this and get the exact thing. I want you to send me a link because I'm really about to do this. Okay, so this however affects only you and me and nobody else who's listening. So let's move on. You've got some really great hacks here. Before we forget though, I put Miranda on the spot. Aaron, I know you've been sitting here thinking the whole time, what's the money saving thing I'm going to think of? Did you think of anything?
I don't have any hacks. My hacks are just, if you don't need it, don't buy it.
God, man, how boring are you?
I know, right?
I was actually thinking that myself. I don't know what my biggest hack would be except using a credit card. I mean, I run all my business expenses through my credit card, and as a result, have millions of points. And also negotiating, buying used, I think. But these are old reliables.
But I think the important thing to do, like when Aaron's talking about, like, okay, if you don't need it, don't buy it. Save the money. If you're not, like for me personally, I'm like, I buy lots of things I don't need, but they enrich my life in some way, right? I have my 4-question thing that I go through before I spend money. But I think the key here is if you're not going to spend money on something, then you need to invest it or put it towards something that's going to enrich your life in some way, right? Because we're talking about like, okay, so you're saving the money, you want to do your goals, or you want to have a nice time, you want to go travel, put the money in your travel fund, the money that you save from, not spending it on something you don't need, or from these from these stacking hacks or whatever, figure out how much you save and then put that toward whatever it is your goal is, right? So like I have a travel fund, I put it in my travel fund, and use that, and it kind of refills itself because I take that money that I say, it's not really a savings unless you're putting it to, as Chris says, enjoy your life in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And go ahead,
automating
Chris.
your finances is a hack.
Yes.
Right.
Oh
Yes.
gosh, yes.
I work at a company called Wealthfront, and our goal is to help people automate their financial lives and help them build wealth through investing. And I built this product because I wanted it for myself, which was monitor your account, wherever you get your income. And then anytime there's excess cash, automatically invest it. And you could set up how you want it to work. So it's monitor my checking account. Anytime there's over $4,000, take all the excess and first make sure you max out my Roth IRA, then make sure you put up to $5,000 a year in our kids 529, and then invest the rest. And so whether it's going through that kind of thing or just setting up an automated recurring deposit, or not everyone knows this, but a lot of times if you go to your payroll provider from your company, like ADP or something like that, you can go and split your direct deposit. So you can actually say, before it even gets to my account, every month, put the first $500 into my savings account or into my brokerage account, so you don't even have to see it. And if you can automate your savings and your investing away, then you actually know, okay, the money that's left over is money that I can actually use versus having to think about it when it's all commingled. So I love automating your investing, automating your savings. It's, I think, probably the best hack to build wealth over time is to make sure that those habits are automated so you don't have to remember to do them.
I'm glad you guys brought that back to, because this is really the title of this podcast is how to meet your financial goals and still have fun. And we've been talking about ways of saving money, but you guys both just brought up what's really important is what we do with those savings, which is obviously to satisfy some financial goal. And automating is a great way to do that. Because obviously if you save $50 or let's say you save $200 on a Japanese toilet, and then you just go out and buy a steak dinner, you haven't really accomplished anything, well, except for had a steak dinner.
I mean,
but
it depends. Do you want that steak dinner? Is it enriching your life?
If you have a plan. I mean, I wrote a book many years ago, Chris, called Life or Debt. It was the first book I ever wrote back in 1999, I think. And the whole purpose of that book was to say that you don't have to sacrifice your quality of life in order to achieve your financial goals. And this is the whole key. The things like you've been discussing, you can have what you want. What I would say is people think about a budget as being on a diet, and a diet sucks. A diet sounds like deprivation because it is. But cottage cheese doesn't taste like steak. But you can actually save money on a steak dinner by having an appetizer at home and splitting the steak with your wife, which I frequently do. And then you've still gone out, you've still had steak. So unlike a diet, you can put money aside without sacrificing your quality of life. If you start sacrificing your quality of life, you're not going to stick to it, whether it's a dollar diet or a food diet. So hacks like this help you accomplish both those things, right? Putting money aside and getting enjoyment out of life.
In some ways, budgeting, is something that can be the most freeing financial thing, because if you say, okay, I need to set aside this much to save for the future, and you figure that number out, and then you say, and I have this much left over. For some people, I'm by nature pretty frugal. So going out to that steak dinner might be something that I'm like, it's not a good use of money. But if I were to create a budget and say, oh, actually, I have enough money left over each month to afford to go out to this dinner once a month, it actually gives me permission to spend the money because I've gone through the exercise of making sure I'm saving enough for my future.
Oh, the first thing you do is decide what's important to you. And what's important to me may be completely different than what's important to you. And once in my book, I would say there's an exercise, just close your eyes and think about the happiest moments of your life. What were you doing? And then, to the extent you can, stop spending money on everything that isn't on that list and start spending more on the things that are. It's just that simple. But we get confused. We get sidetracked because, Aaron's got a new keyboard. I want a new keyboard. Even though I don't give a damn about keyboards, and we get in commercials and spouses. I mean, we get led astray all the time. And sometimes you have to stop and just focus on what the hell is it do you want out of your life? And then do everything you can to advance that agenda and stop doing everything that isn't. It's just that simple, but it easy to say, hard to do. The silence.
Well, no, I was just going to say.
I think we all agree.
I mean,
We're not even agreement.
And that kind of goes along with what I was going to say a little bit earlier about my spending plan. My spending plan is basically okay, rather than making an actual budget, I just sat down and I was like, okay, what things are most important that need to be taken care of that I automate? I automate my finances that I automate. So it's okay, I got to automate the housing payment. I got to automate the insurance payments. I automate the utility bills. Charity's important to me. I actually automate my charity payments. I used to automate the 529 contribution, but now my son's in college, so we don't contribute to that anymore. Now we're taking money out. But I listed all the things that were most important, figured out how much needed to go to there, and that like my HSA, my IRA, all of those things, automated and said, okay, this is what needs to go there to meet my financial goals, right? To figure out my financial goals, and whatever's left over, I don't put into categories. I don't worry about categories. I just spend it till it's gone because everything that's important is automated and taken care of and covered. And so I don't have to worry about like, okay, is this an entertainment expense or is this like a travel expense? Is this, I'm buying a book or whatever? Like the money is there. All of the important things are covered automatically. So it doesn't matter where else it's going as long as where it's going is it is in line with my values and my spending priorities.
Cool. We're almost out of time. Before we run out of time, we actually are out of time. Chris, one more quick hack. I drink a lot of beer. How can I save on that?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess you could, if you really love beer, you could start brewing your own beer. You
could buy beer for everything.
That's so expensive, though. Have you actually bought all the stuff to brew your beer?
Well, he said he drinks a lot of beer. I don't know if you're drinking 34, 40 beers a day. Maybe.
But dude, I'm too drunk to do stuff like that. You have to get Aaron to do it for me. Aaron comes over.
Yeah. Plus, when I come over, I need beer too.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to start making it, Aaron.
Well, there's next side hustle. When Aaron comes over, you got to sell him the beer.
That's cool though, Chris. I just pulled something out of the air, and you had a hack right off the top of your head. You're really good. I wish we had more time for this. Because I wanted to ask you, like, what's your favorite for restaurants? What's your favorite for hotels, flights? But we don't have time. So what's going to have to happen is you're going to have to come back and visit with us again, because I thought I knew everything about this. I've been doing it for 40 years, and yet you taught me some stuff today, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, I got a podcast. All the hacks. It's yes. if you can't wait for the next time I'm here, check it out.
I was just about to promote you. Calm down.
Never know.
Okay, guys. I'm afraid we are out of time, folks, but we are never out of topic. Dig a little deeper. You're going to find links to lots more info in our show notes. And remember, if your goal is to make more, to spend less, to retire rich, your online home is moneytalksnews.com. And don't forget to check out Miranda's online home as well. That is mirandamarquit.com. That's MARQUIT. And of course, you got to go see Chris or listen to Chris. I did today. You're going to like him. It's called All the Hacks. Look it up. Chris, do you have a website too, or is it allthehacks.com?
Allthehacks.com.
Cool.
All the hacks wherever you listen to podcasts.
Okay. I just looked it up as a podcast and found it and loved it. Okay. If you got a question, comment, or topic you'd like to suggest, tell us about it. Email us at hello@moneytalksnews.com. And one final thing, if you like what we do, then do something for us. Subscribe to our podcast. It takes you 2 seconds. Really helps us, though. So if you like us, don't just sit there. Show us and subscribe. I'm Stacy Johnson.
I'm Miranda Marquit.
I'm Aaron Freeman.
And I'm Chris Hutchins.
Chris, thanks so much for being here again. You're a sweetheart. We're going to have you back. Thanks for hanging out with us, everyone, and we're going to see you right here next time.